All right, folks. T. Pugmire's got some noise coming from his workstation, so you got to see his cheery mug as we went live. But in addition to him, I am also your host. I'm DashV. So we've got T. Pugmire with us today, and we also have Jeremy. So we're going to be talking a little later on about what I think happened to my Game Informer magazine, right? We'll be talking about that a little bit later. It goes all the way through, my friends, all the way through. Like every single page is like totally eviscerated. So you'll hear my theories as to what may have happened to my Game Informer en route to my house. And also, you guys feel free to throw down your own theories there in the chats, and I'll share them if you spin a good yarn. But before we get to that, so Tyler, my friend, you've been playing a bit of Samus Returns, haven't you?
I have. I picked it up on launch day. So yeah, I've been playing it every spare minute I have, actually. It's not much, but you know.
Yeah. Did you get the collector's edition, or did you get the regular?
I did. I got the collector's edition I got the amiibos, and I got all the crap that goes with it.
Oh wow!
Can we see it?
I don't have it. It's somewhere else.
So, folks, the game that we're talking about is Metroid Samus Returns for the 3DS. It is a successor to this. It's kind of a remake of this, a remake / reimagining of this. So it's kind of like what Metroid Zero Mission was to the original Metroid.
Yeah.
So what do you think about it?
Yeah, tell us about it.
So it's, in a nutshell, it's hard as hell. I mean, I played a lot of Metroid in my day. I love Metroid. It's one of my top franchises. I'm pretty good at them. This one is kicking my ass. Like, it's hard.
Gotcha. So you're saying is it like original NES Metroid hard, or is it Super Metroid hard? Like I thought the original NES was harder than the Super Metroid, personally.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. I would almost say it's on par with that. But it's like the enemies do so much damage to you. I mean, even like I've gotten the various suit. That's kind of where I'm at now. But I mean, still, I mean, you can't take it, like, to put it in other terms. Like, I'm a pretty tall guy, right? I bump my head on everything. Like, if I was in this game, I bump my head twice, I'm dead. Like, the enemies do so much, and it's not even like somebody shooting at you. It's like you just happen to like bump into an enemy, as you're running along. They do so much damage. It's just it's a little too much for me. Like, I've died so many times in this game. So it's I mean, there is a lot of difficulty in it. I'm getting better, slowly as you get better, but it's hard. Like,
wow.
Are you enjoying it at least?
I am really enjoying it, but it's more difficult than the others, which is good, because like playing through the original on the Game Boy, like, I don't really die in that game. Super Metroid, I don't really die in that game. This one, you die a lot, at least I do.
Wow.
But yeah.
How many times do you think you've died so far?
Oh God, probably 30, 40, maybe.
How many hours have you played it? What'd you say?
Days, maybe I'm trying to think. Maybe like 6. So I'm not a ton.
So 30 times. 30 times in 6 hours.
Yeah, it's. I mean, and maybe I just suck. I don't know. But
have you rage quit yet?
No, not yet.
Now, how do you like? What are some of the updates that they've done for 3DS? Is any of the 3DS functionality kind of gimmicky, or does it add to the game?
As far as being 3D, I don't really play with the 3D. I have sort of on a little bit. I don't really usually 3D because my glasses are kind of.
I guess I more mean like the second screen stuff. Are they using second screen for useful things, or is it kind of like throwaway?
Yeah, so the top screen is what you actually see. It's like, your Samus moving around. The bottom screen is like the map and
that's awesome.
And selecting weapons, things like that. So it does add a whole lot. It's way easier to navigate the game rather than have to pause every time and look, go back. So it is a lot.
Controls and gameplay in general.
The controls are fine. It does have this kind of weird mechanic where you hold the left button and you stop in your tracks, but then you can aim anywhere. You have a 360-degree range of motion as far as shooting. You can shoot at any angle, but then you like release that button and then you can run more. So it's kind of weird. You have to like stop to aim to shoot, and then you can go again and then run. I mean, you can also shoot
when you run. Are you still aimed in the direction that you're at, or does it like do some kind of reset?
It sort of does. You don't have the full range, but I mean, you can like run along and still shoot forward. You can kind of shoot up, you know.
Okay. So what you're saying is Metroid now has Resident Evil tank controls.
Kind of. Yeah. I mean,
just what we wanted.
Yeah.
A Metroid game that plays like Resident Evil.
No,
I have to stop and aim in order to shoot.
Yeah, I mean, it does take a little bit of getting used to, but it's actually pretty convenient once you get going.
Well, I can imagine, because that was always a pain in the earlier Metroid games where you could only shoot the earlier ones where you could only shoot straight forward, but then some of the later ones where you could shoot up and forward. But kind of like the corner was always, you know, the odd duck. And of course, where do these monsters come out, right? They don't like drop down and then fly. You know, they don't drop vertically and then fly horizontally to you. They follow these like sine, cosine, patterns and everything. We're getting all mathematical up here on the Retro Reload. But they have all these like curvy things and they'll swoop down, and so like ideally you'd want to be like angled up, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of good that they give you that here. And then there's always those like you're underneath an overhang and the monster's like literally like right there, and you're like, oh, I could just shoot like 30 or 35 degrees, I could nail you. Like,
yeah, so. and then this one you can. I mean, you can shoot any which way. If you have the wave beam, you can shoot through anything, at anything. And a lot of the enemies, so they've really kind of taken this idea of being able to shoot anywhere, and they've made certain enemies where, like, say the enemy has like a shell, right?
Yeah.
The shell is impenetrable, so you have to aim at this little tiny face, So the hit detection on some of these enemies is so small, but they've allowed for that, so you can aim anywhere. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
No, it makes absolute sense. They kind of make it. They force you to you could make it through without certain power-ups, but it's going to be a lot more difficult than if you get the appropriate thing, which is kind of like that's textbook Metroid, right? Like you might be able to figure out a way around certain ways. You might be able to sequence break, they like to call it, right? The speedrunners love the sequence break, but if you do, it is going to be quite a challenge.
In this one, I mean, honestly, there's a few places where I've gotten where I'm not entirely sure I was supposed to go,
Yeah.
And they've done I feel like in the other games, they're pretty linear. I mean, linear in the huge,
No, I know what you mean.
You know what I mean?
They expect you to do things in a specific order. Yeah. You might explore in a randomish order, but you're only going to unlock in a specific order.
Yeah. So, but they've done it kind of differently. There's areas where I've kind of been, and you get so far off into these corridors, and you're doing all this stuff, and then you find you need like one thing that's clear the hell back on the other side of the map. So you're just like, oh my God. So you got to backtrack, So I mean, there's a lot of that kind of back and forth, which I don't know if that was intentional or how that works out. But
I think it's got to be intentional, because that is textbook Metroid. And I remember, not for nothing, I remember playing this game back in the day. I beat this game before to date, for the record, I have never beaten the original Metroid on NES.
Wow.
I beat Zero Mission. I beat this game. I beat Super Metroid. I beat every game in the Prime franchise. I've never beaten the original Metroid on NES. I just can't do it. I can't make it. The game is so brutal. I bumped my head 2 times and I'm dead. So, but this game, my point was, I remember many a playthrough where you had to go from one end of the map all the way back to another end of the map. And something that I wish I had in this version of the game, you get to every Metroid game, I think, just about. I can't think of a game where they didn't do this, but in just about every Metroid game, you'll get a certain amount of the way into the game, and then there's like a false floor or a false wall or something, and you're only going to progress if you literally like try walking into every wall, try crawling underneath every crawl space, you know, that kind of thing. But we did not have like X-ray vision in this game.
That's what I was just gonna say. Some of the items from Super Metroid have kind of been expanded on in this one, so that there is sort of an X-ray vision kind of thing, functionality where it's sort of like a sonar pulse that it you know goes in this area and it highlights all the places you can break the bricks. The grappling beam also comes back, which is fun. That was always my favorite part of Super Metroid when I was a kid. The grappling beam, you get a swing from stuff. So it's back. The only thing I haven't really found, I mean, and again, I'm probably not halfway through the game.
Right.
So there's a lot of things I'm wondering if they're going to include that weren't in the original, like speed booster, things like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident there is, because there's a part where I got the map and I'm like, I think I need a speed booster to get across this, but I don't have it, so I don't know, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's a fun game. It's hard.
Lister's Mate says he hated the Metroid game for the Game Boy. I definitely wouldn't say I hate it. Like I honestly love the hell out of this. And folks, if you do want to pick this up and play it, a word to the wise. If you play this on the Retron 5, or if you play this on the Game Boy Advance, this will actually play in color. It's not a Game Boy Color game, but Nintendo actually worked with the developers. So the developers kind of followed a very strict kind of color palette and everything, grayscale palette right in the game that colorizes incredibly well. But it was all through hacks. So literally, the Game Boy Advance SP and the Game Boy Advance original, they have hacks in their hardware that actually detect if this game is the one plugged in, and if so, applies a special color palette to it. So this game colorizes incredibly well. The Retron 5 also emulates that mode, so you can play this in full color on the Retron 5. You might also be able to play it on other platforms as well. Like I'm not
Super Game Boy works. I don't know. You've mentioned that.
Super Game Boy will play this in black and white. I don't think Super Game Boy plays this in color.
I think it's right.
I'm pretty sure it does.
I'll check it out.
Yeah, the Game Boy Advance player, I've been told, will play this in color because it's got Game Boy Advance hardware. But the Super Game Boy, the reason that the Super Game Boy can't do it is because the Super Game Boy actually wasn't Game Boy Color or anything like that. So,
I don't know, it's been a long time.
Yeah. So but I heard, don't quote me on it, folks. I heard Game Boy Advance player, but I haven't followed up and checked on that. I know for a fact Retron 5 because I've done it, and I know for a fact Game Boy SP will do it. So my preferred way to play this in color is actually on the SP edition of the Game Boy Advance because with the backlighting and everything, or is it front lighting? Well, anyway, with the lighted color LCD screen, it looks amazing. This is also one of those ones where they actually went ahead and made it. I think this one's battery back.
Yes, it is.
I think this one's bad. Yeah, Tyler says it is, so it must be true. Tyler wouldn't let me lie to you. So battery back, and you get to save at different checkpoints. And
So
everything.
Tyler, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being garbage, 10 being game of the year, must pick up. What would you put it?
8.
Oh, I didn't see that coming.
It's good. I mean, and it's funny because I was thinking about this today. The comparison between this and the AM2R, the fan-made version of this game.
I still haven't played it. I downloaded it before it got taken down, but I still haven't played it.
Yeah, so I played through it. I'm not completely, but most of the way. And I feel like AM2R is probably the game that I wanted, being a Metroid fan. But this game is better than AM2R. But it's different. It's totally different. For being basically the same game, is way different. So I think both of them have good things. I think like I said, I think AM2R is the game that I wanted, but I think this is the game that we, as Metroid fans, deserve. You know?
Well, thank you very much, Commissioner Gordon. So, it's not the Metroid that we wanted, but it's the Metroid that we deserve. So let's just make clarified. He said he hated Metroid for the Game Boy because it took too long to figure out, and he also didn't like that you can't see the hidden walls. Hence them being hidden walls, Lister mate. You can't have hidden walls that you can see, then they wouldn't be hidden walls, my friend. I'm just kidding. He went on to say, he went on to ask, is the hero for Metroid for the Switch really a girl? The hero for all the Metroid games is a girl, my friend, with the exception of maybe, Federation Force, depending on the character that you pick. But
and there is no Metroid on the Switch.
What's that?
And there is no Metroid on the Switch.
Well, yeah, but there will be. Metroid Prime 4 is going to be coming out for the Switch. So
that's true.
Yeah. So I think that's more what he's referring to. Yes. Metroid. So the hero is Samus Aran, and
yeah, and that was one of the other things talking about the Switch, is that I feel like this should have been a Switch game. I really do. Like, I think that
Explain.
Well, my whole point about holding the button to stop to aim, I mean, that could have been done on the Switch with just both the sticks. You wouldn't have to stop. You could just aim and run and all this stuff at the same time. I feel like that would have been like a better.
Do you have a new 3DS?
I do not.
I'm wondering if
XL.
I'm gonna have to try this. I got my pre-order in late, so I'm actually in the second wave. So I won't get my collector's edition copy of Metroid until this Friday. So I can't try it and see. But I wonder if the stick that they added for Smash Bros. I wonder if that maybe adds what you're talking about. I'll let you know. I'll try it and report back.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I just feel like the Switch would have been a better vessel for this game than the 3DS. But I mean, it still is fine. It's just a little clunky to kind of get used to.
Yeah. So I think on the subject of Switch, though, I think Jeremy has some Mario Odyssey news.
Yes, the file size for the Super Mario Odyssey has been released for the Nintendo Switch. It says the file size for the hugely anticipated Nintendo Switch game Super Mario Odyssey has been revealed, and it is not as big as expected. It is 5.7 gigabytes for digital, which isn't too bad.
No, not really.
Yeah, that's actually not bad at all.
I was thinking around 10 gigs, so I'm happy I'm wrong for once.
Yeah. It is kind of impressive how small some of these games are, though, given just how, the graphics, trying to target 720p and 1080p and things like that. Especially seeing some of the stuff that we've seen for Super Mario Galaxy already. Honestly, I was expecting something a lot larger, but this is significantly smaller than Zelda, isn't it?
Yeah, that's why I think it was. That's why I was impressed, because,
Yeah.
You expect Mario to be on par with Zelda.
Absolutely. So I wonder, do you think that this means that, what do you think that it is, Jeremy, if you had to speculate based on what you've seen of Mario Galaxy or Mario Odyssey so far? Do you think that this means that it's going to be a smaller game world and maybe fewer hours total that you can put into it, or you think it's just that they've gotten that much better at packing more?
I think it's just getting better, because we think about Zelda came out right away, or it came out for Wii U, so they're not quite ready for the Switch, still the tech. And now that Mario Odyssey is coming out, you got more time to compact it, make it better. Yeah. And I think it'll be my first game when I get my Switch, which is a later discussion we'll have.
Yeah, I guess the reason I asked the question is that is in general, I'm liking the Switch, but with the exception of Zelda and I Am Setsuna. Most of the gaming experiences on the Switch are
elsewhere.
Yeah, short-lived, instant gratification type, where you could sit down and play through the whole game in an evening, kind of deal. Or if it's more arcade style, so you could play for an hour and then be done with the game for the next week and a half. So I'm waiting for more involved experiences Breath of the Wild. I want to see things like Metroid Prime, which I'm hoping has a nice campaign. I'm hoping that Super Mario Odyssey, has quite a bit of depth to it. But we'll see. I loved when Punch-Out came out for the Wii. It was kind of like what Tyler had said. It wasn't the Punch-Out revamp that I'd expected or wanted, but it was definitely the one that we deserved. I thought it was really, really great. The only thing that wasn't really, really great about it is when I went through in the whole roster and beat everything, I was basically able to beat the whole game just by remembering all the tells and tricks and timings from the original NES game, almost without modification. And so I was kind of expecting that when that happened, I know that you do that, and then there's like a second circuit, and then you fight through the same people, and they have different weaknesses this time and all that other stuff. But I guess I was looking more for like new original content, not just like same thing with updated graphics and waggle controls, and then like, okay, like a remix of that. Like I was hoping that there'd be like new, kind of more like a super punch out. Like give me new fighters, give me new things to kind of go with. So it was still a great game. Absolutely loved it. But literally, I bought it, brought it home, played it, beat it the first playthrough in like under 2 hours, and then I was like, now what the hell do I do? Like I just spent $50 on this.
Have you played it with the balance board?
For it. What's that?
Have you played it with the motion controls and the balance board and all that?
Yeah, I tried that. That was interesting for all of about like,
it's a workout.
Oh man, yeah, it was. Well, even with this, right? It was kind of a workout. So yeah, the balance board was definitely a couple of minutes with it on the balance board, and I don't care what anybody says. Like I immediately went back and was like, you know what? If I'm even gonna attempt this, first I got to make sure that I totally own at the Wii Fit Yoga. I mean that the Wii Fit Yoga, especially for the Wii Fit Plus or whatever for the Wii U, that's legit. If you do that yoga, if you actually stick to it and you go through the whole program and you let it, it'll graduate you to different levels of difficulty and everything. That's yoga. Yoga's a serious thing, folks. Don't make fun of yoga people. They have some excellent core muscles. Tyler's just laughing his butt off. What am I saying wrong?
Nothing. I love it. It's great. I can just picture you doing yoga. That's all.
Dude, I was doing yoga.
I know. That's why I can picture it.
Like the warrior pose and crap. Yeah.
We should a bit of yoga that's like game related. So like the N64 stance and stuff like that. So in other news, Toys R Us recently filed for bankruptcy protection because brick and mortars are having issues now with staying online.
My goodness, I gotta say I'm not really super surprised with that one. I have to say Lizzie used to work there actually. She kind of dodged a bullet on that one. Yeah, I think last time I've been to a Toys R Us, like show of hands, when's the last time you've been to a Toys R Us, Jeremy?
Because 3 years ago, because my friend made me go to go pick up a gift for his sister. After that, 20 years ago.
T-Pug.
I went to one just this last year because it was closing. The one by my house. They were actually tearing it down to Billa Road, so I got a bunch of amiibos and stuff for cheap. But before that, it's been a while. I mean, I couldn't tell you when.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. Like I can't remember when. I think the only times I had to Toys R Us is when I'm like absolutely desperate to pick up something that's totally sold out. I'm like, where's like the last place that people would have gone? Oh, probably Toys R Us. Let me go check them out. And then they usually don't have it either because the only ones that they had were pre-order copies. So it never quite works out. Now that said, I don't have any like personal issues or problems with Toys R Us. One of the things that I used to like that you could only really get in a brick and mortar, and I thought this was kind of neat that you can't really get online, is they used to have these different events. Like they'd have like these Lego events where literally like they'd have this giant like pile of Legos in like the back of the store. And so, you take your kid in there and they got everything all decked out along the like walk down the aisle to it. So it's like perfect. Like all the premium products are like placed along that aisle. And so you're walking through this gauntlet of like, Daddy, I want this. Daddy, I want this. Ooh, look at this. And then you get to the pile of Legos, right? And then they just kind of dive in and they'd have these different contests. And, sometimes they do things like, if you built something out of Legos and then you won the contest, you actually got to take the Legos home with you. So it was so interesting to see because these kids, like, you're talking like everywhere from like, like 2 years old, 3 years old, please don't eat that, to like, 10 years old, are the kids that are like going here, like playing with these Legos and everything. And it didn't matter what age they were. They knew, right? Like, there's no point in winning unless you're taking home a metric F ton of Legos. And so they would, whatever they built, it was like massive. Like they would build like these 40-ton, like, what is that? It's a house. What is that? It's a tower. It's literally just them stacking Legos like one on top of each other because they were not going home with like this little handful of Legos. No, 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 no. They wanted to fill mommy daddy's entire trunk with Legos. So my son won one of those. But I mean, if you were looking for a way to spend like an idle Saturday or idle Sunday, I really actually enjoyed when brick and mortars did this, because when I was an early parent and the kids are like super young, you're kind of like, well, what am I gonna do, right? Like, how am I gonna, and other stores that did this may still do it. So folks, look out for it. If you're parenting kids and you want to help them do stuff on the weekends and do stuff with them that's more than just playing video games. I know we're a video game show. I shouldn't be talking like that, but sometimes you want your kids to be a little bit more well-rounded. Best Buy, or not Best Buy, Home Depot and Lowe's would do these building workshops where, like, come in on Saturday and build a birdhouse. Come on in.
They still do that.
Yeah, Friday, build a mailbox, and they have the whole kit. They have the instructions. It was usually entirely free. Like, literally, you just walk in, and now you're not going to get like this like Cadillac birdhouse out of the deal, right? You're going to get this like, cheap pine wood and all that other stuff. But the kids build something with you. They feel kind of cool about it. They learn how to use basic tools like a saw and a hammer and that kind of stuff. And you get to meet other parents maybe in your neighborhood and that kind of stuff. And then bonus, if you ever do have to make a trip to Lowe's or Home Depot or something like that, you don't have to deal with the kid going, oh, I don't want to go. They're like, oh, hey, is there going to be can I build a birdhouse when we go there? And like, well, maybe not this time, but okay, but I still want to go. So it kind of gets you around that whole, like, them not wanting to go with you sort of thing. So I really like that. And I think that's part of what I'm going to miss about a lot of these. I think it's natural. Most of these places are going to go away because you can order it, get it, shipped within 1 day or 2 days. Shipping is free now in almost every case. I think ultimately a lot of these brick and mortars are going to either shut down or just massively scale back. But I do miss some of those local benefits there. Listener's Mate says that Toys R Us used to have a great video game section and talked about how they had demo games going all the time. I remember that. He said he went a month ago and it was incredibly quiet, nothing at all like when he was a kid. Yeah, I totally get that. And I think some of that is I think some of the magic that I attribute to companies like Toys R Us and Walmart and all this other stuff, I find out through reading Console Wars, talking to people like Tom and Al, and you kind of you start to realize, this whole world of Nintendo thing and the way that, like, Nintendo was behind that, right? Like, Toys R Us didn't have anything to do with that, and Toys R Us by themselves really, they might have tried to do something, but it wasn't going to be anywhere near as flashy as what Nintendo had put together. So I think really what's happening now is that the benefit used to be that you had a captive audience. People come in, right, and you can just kind of like capture them, captivate their imagination, capture them, and show them something they've never seen before, or maybe they're just seeing for the first time. And now that's why we have the internet, right? I mean, you can't really go into a brick and mortar. You can't go to a store and see something that's going to surprise you. Like, I already know what the packaging is going to be for the Scorpio before it even arrives. I've seen the Scorpio from every angle. Like, I know already the list of games that are going to be due out. So at this point, it's really just like, have your shopping list and play the waiting game. So why am I going to go into a store? Like, literally, I know the only stuff I'm going to see in the store is stuff that's really just not, the only place it can live is a store, because if it's just out there on the internet amongst everything else, I'm not going to care about it. So I really don't enjoy going to brick and mortars, anymore, unless it's for, like I said, like, take the kid to, you know, build a tree house or build a bird house or something like that. So I guess what I want is more community and family type public activities. And those don't have to be tied to commerce, right? Maybe that's a better thing if they're not tied to business.
Yeah, I kind of like going to the store because you could get, you know, deals. There would be sales. There'd be things, and you know, with the ordering online, yeah, there's still sales, but I mean, sort of, you know, with the like the digital distribution. It's so hard to say. You know, not too many sales. Games pretty much tend to be so that's kind of my thing. Is I like cheap stuff. You know.
Oh, who doesn't? I appreciate your perspective on that. I guess for me, though, I kind of feel dirty when I go into these stores, like trying to take advantage of a deal. You know, like it's like the deals are usually like a clearance item, you know, or an open box item, or like the best / worst is that pile of unwashed love of you know, Blu-ray and DVDs at Walmart, right? Like they have this giant bin, right? Like a Chuck E. Cheese bin just filled with Blu-rays, and like you just dive in and you're like going through all these different, you know, Magic Mike Blu-rays to try to find the one Live Die Repeat Blu-ray that's still there for like $7 with digital copy. And at least that's me. And then like you pull it out and it's like all battered and torn. It looks like an issue of Game Informer, right? That somehow, some way, right, got tortured and tormented on its way to your house. But now that you got it, right, here you go. So I don't know. For me, it's kind of like, you know, sometimes I wonder if it's worth, even if it does cost me an extra $1 or $2 for the time it takes me to go to the store, get parking, go there, and then I find a deal, and then I end up standing in line for like maybe 20 minutes, 10, 15 minutes, right, if I'm not super exaggerating, to kind of check out. Like, I'm like, why? I'll just, you know, isn't my time, like if I tally up the time it takes to go to the store, walk through, find the deal, get it all the way back to the cash register, wait there, go through that whole thing, drive home. I mean, all in to save that $2 or whatever, I've probably used at least 45 minutes of my life that I could have used for something else. And so it's kind of like, is that 45 minutes of my life worth the extra $2? Probably. So,
well, so my other thing about online shopping is that, you know, you got to remember what I do for a living. I hate online shopping.
Oh, that's true.
Oh
that
my
is
God.
true.
I deliver so much stuff.
So
I bet you the day after Black Friday, don't you?
Sticking it to the man, right?
Mm-hmm.
Black Friday week's your favorite, isn't it?
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal. You have no idea.
Yeah, I agree. Red, you mentioned in the chat, you know, getting older sucks. It definitely does, because I notice, you know, I usually wasn't one to get like terribly nostalgic, and sometimes it still shocks me that like if I look behind me, like everything behind me is nostalgia, right? Like, and it shouldn't be, right? Like original Xbox is nostalgia, right? Little Orphan Annie, okay, that one I understand is nostalgia, but like Sega CD and 32X, that's nostalgia, right? Like Alan Wake, that's nostalgia. Like, what the hell is going on with this world, right? A stand-up arcade machine is nostalgia. Like, what? So yeah, it's a little bit bizarre to me sometimes. You know, as we keep moving forward. But I mean, I like digital. I like the convenience of digital, but I don't like the inconvenience of digital. And I think you guys know already. What's that?
I'd rather have physical copy every time.
Yeah, the one thing that I don't like about the physical copy, though, and it's been like incredibly bad this generation. The physical copy is basically a coaster. Like, I mean, most companies are just kicking out horribly busted, unfinished crap. And even if you buy the physical copy, expect to install like half a dozen patches before it becomes anything usable. And so, you know, the reason that I liked physical copies is because back in the day, it used to be, well, I don't have one on me. I do actually, yeah, right here. It used to be, okay, you get this. If there's a bug in that, it adds to the charm, right? It's not game breaking usually. The game breaking bugs were few and far between. There were bugs, there were glitches, there were ways to sequence break, there was ways to fall through walls, there were ways to, you know, to cheat the bosses and all that other stuff. but basically the way they baked the game, that was the game, and you know, you had to pretty much take the game fully as what it was. And for most games, that allowed the real good stuff to kind of rise to the top. What's happened this latest generation is that a lot of these games, like, you don't know, like the game releases and maybe it's terrible, but then you're still like, you know, a couple months later, you have to wonder, like, okay, so the initial review that came out that said that this was terrible, did someone go back and re-review it after the last 3 months worth of patches? Because I hear a bunch of these people buying it saying that it's really good. And so you're looking at this, you know, this review that says busted, unplayable mess, and then you got your friends telling you, "Oh no, dude, it's not that bad. It's not that bad." And so it's like, you know, which experience are you gonna get? You can't really trust the reviews anymore because they're not really reviewing final copies or even near final copies of the game anymore. Like a game like Destiny 2, that game is going to change repeatedly over the next year of its lifetime. It's going to be a totally different game a year from now than what it is right now.
Another great example is No Man's Sky. When that game first released, horrible reviews, a lot of controversies. My friend told me about a week ago it's gotten way better. They added more content.
Yeah.
So like I said, someone should go back and review it again. I was like, how is it now?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think the tragedy for a game like No Man's Sky is I feel like probably the sales and the reception and ultimately the overall success of that game is still going to be based on its initial launch.
Because, you know, that's why a lot of people think, oh, No Man's Sky sucks. But like, well, I know what's going on. My friend has it. Now I want it because they improved it. The stuff they promised is going in now.
Yeah. Yeah. So the other thing too is the delisting, right? Like it's always a heartbreaker when there's a really good game like Alan Wake. As much as I love it, it's been delisted from Steam. I don't remember if it's delisted off of the Xbox One yet, but it is delisted off of Steam because the music license is expired.
That sucks.
So yeah, here's
that's why you buy physical.
Yeah, that's why you buy. That's why you buy physical. Absolutely, and you can still find this. By the way, I've found this a couple places, different GameStops and everything. You can pick it up for I think like $20, which is definitely worth it. So.
Speaking of shopping in the news, if you're looking for a PlayStation VR on Amazon right now with a certain code, you get $100 off. So it's $300, which is not a bad deal.
Nice. Do we have are we gonna have a link for that for folks later on? Which
yeah, I'll look up if you want to do it now, it's PSVR Save on Amazon.
PSVR Save?
Yeah.
Nice. Awesome. Folks, we'll have some more details on that down the doodly-doo.
If you want to buy me one, message me and I'll leave my address.
Yeah, if you want to buy one for Jeremy, he'll happily take donations. So I'm still waiting. Like for me, I don't know. I've mentioned this before. I don't have any inside info or anything like that, but this is just me kind of reading the tea leaves. I still believe that sometime between now and the PlayStation 5, I still firmly believe we're going to see a new PlayStation revision of either a PlayStation VR Rev 2 or we're going to see a PlayStation Pro Mark II, either in a smaller form factor, you know, maybe with HD, Ultra HD, 4K Blu-ray compatibility, maybe some integrated PSVR. Like I'm feeling like the reception that Nintendo or that Microsoft is getting for the Xbox One X already, and the developer adoption. I can't believe Sony's going to let that slide into next year. I think next year is going to get really uncomfortable for them with the PS Pro versus, you know, Xbox One X comparisons. So I have a feeling they're going to volley back with something. They're probably already working on something behind the scenes. At least
we know we're going to see it at E3. If they got anything this year, it'll be at E3 this year.
Absolutely. I would definitely say I'm personally expecting to see some major things out of Sony at E3 to kind of try to compete with Microsoft. I mean, they can announce some exclusives, but the main issue with that is going to be exclusives aren't going to replace the fact that for a while the definitive edition of multi-platform games are going to be on the One X for the developers that really, really want to maximize that. And we're already seeing that happen with games like Rise of the Tomb Raider. The definitive edition of that is going to be on the One X. And there's already comparisons of the alpha that was shown compared to the PS4 Pro, and the difference in the graphics is pretty significant. So anybody that thinks, it's just upscaling versus, it's not really a big deal, take a look at some of the shots. It's a huge deal. So I don't know that Sony's going to be able to hold off on them for every exclusive they have that's going to look fantastic. There's going to be a multi-plat that looks the better version is on the Xbox One. So I think what's going to happen is that you're going to have folks that are going to have both consoles. And so for me, I guess this is actually exactly how it worked out for me. The PS4 Pro, not enough of an upgrade to entice me, but the Xbox One X, definitely enough of an upgrade to entice me. So I'm going to be an Xbox One X and a PS4 regular household until Sony comes up with something that I feel is equivalent to the One X, to make it kind of like, to me, to pay the extra money for a Pro to play my games in up-res 4K and not have HD Blu-ray. I got Wonder Woman arriving in 4K HD Blu-ray in another week or two, and I can't wait. I'm pumped to actually see that because I loved it in the theater. So I really don't think that Sony's going to be able to hang on. I think the other thing, without some kind of change, I'm not saying they're going to go out of business or anything, but I'm just saying I think that they'll have to do something to keep up. Another thing that Microsoft did that was really smart, that I played around with a bit this weekend, is they've released a dev mode app for your Xbox One. So the Scorpio or the X won't support this, but the One S and the launch model Xbox Ones actually support the ability you can download an app, install it on your Xbox One, turns it into a development kit, and then you can download the free Visual Studio Community Edition, and you can download Unity Personal. And I did this weekend. I spent an evening, I downloaded all that stuff, I downloaded the app. I did have to pay $20 to register with Microsoft as a developer, but they've got a website that walks you through the whole thing. By that evening, I'd made my own Asteroids clone and deployed it and played it on my Xbox One with the Xbox One controller. It was pretty awesome. So I already know what's going to happen.
I'll be able to play it.
So, folks, once I get it actually finished up and polished up, I'll take a look at what it takes to get that into the store. And I have no intentions of selling it. I'll see if it's something that I can get out there and publish for free. I'll see what the path is for doing that. So, but yeah, I was surprised at how easy it was. I was expecting it to be this big, long thing. I was expecting stuff to not quite work right. And I was expecting, I got to buy this. It was like $20, register with Microsoft. And then the rest of it was download this free version of Visual Studio, download this free version of Unity, go through some tutorials, right, and then deploy. So my Xbox One X is what I'm going to be using for gaming and watching movies, and my launch model is going to be what I use to just tinker around with development, which is something that I still can't do on a Sony platform without, contacting them and trying to figure out how do I register as a dev, how do I get a dev kit, all that other stuff. Microsoft's made that very, very approachable. So if you're an indie, it looks like it's pretty easy to kind of jump in and get started. If I can do it, So I think those are going to be some interesting things for Sony to kind of think about. I think something that's going to help them out immensely is still going to be limited run games, basically exclusively releasing their games so far on the PlayStation 4 and Vita platforms. So we still have yet to see anything like that equivalent for Xbox One. So I still think for some of the indie games in physical form, PlayStation is going to be your go-to for those. But if you're looking for high def, gaming, I think it's going to be Xbox One X for most of next year.
Let's talk about your Game Informer. I just checked, mine's out here right now, apparently.
My Game Informer. So, folks, my wife actually called me at work to give me her condolences. She said, I'm not a collector. She's a gamer, but she's not like a quote unquote collector. She goes, but your Game Informer magazine is definitely not in collector quality. And she wasn't kidding. I mean, a whole all the way through. Like, how does that happen? How does that get like, I have a theory, right? And I want to hear your theory. So this is mine, folks. There's another rip there that kind of goes through several pages. There's some stuff on the back that's all scuffed up. So the first working theory that I have is, notice this expiration notice This might actually be the first time a magazine has actually rage quitted one of its subscribers. I think this was just kind of like, you know what? You're expired. You're expiring. You're just going to let that happen? You're just going to sit there? You're just going to let that expire? Well, fine. 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 So I think that might be maybe what happened. Maybe a bit of psycho action. Right? Maybe. What do you guys think?
I think it was evil mailman. He hates video games. Exposure magazine.
It could be an evil mailman, right? It could be an evil mailman. Maybe Middle Earth, Shadow of War, right? Maybe he just, with all this North Korea stuff and everything, and maybe he just saw one tweet too many from our commander in chief and was just like, no more war. Although that would be kind of ironic that madness over war would drive him to violence.
Yeah.
But I mean, stranger things have happened. I like to think, my favorite theory so far. Oh, go ahead, Jeremy.
Do you actually collect the Game Informer magazines?
So I don't have a complete collection. I have some from when I was.
I was gonna say, if you collect them, when mine comes in, I'll exchange you because mine probably fine.
So what I'm gonna try to do, I'm gonna walk into a GameStop and be like, "WTF? Do you have another copy, please?"
And try to get a hold of. So you try to get a hold of Brian Shea. We have on the show. Be, hey man, what happened?
I could do that, right? Maybe
GameStop be easier.
It was Brian Shea, right? Brian Shea's upset that we haven't had him back on the show, and so he's just like, you know what?
He's like, screw Chris.
That's my guess.
No. It's not that he hasn't been on the show. He's probably like, that guy. I sweat, blood, sweat, and tears in this digital mag, and he still wants it in physical for the nostalgia. Send this to him. And by the way, it's his last issue, so who cares?
Have you checked all the pages? Because you probably give you Louis one of the pages.
So no, I don't think it was Brian Shea. I think he's
Okay.
way too good of a guy. He's way too good of a guy, and he's been writing some really good articles. So I'm excited to see what this year's article is. But
could have been John the Greedy Gamer. He's working Game Informer, right?
What's that?
John the Greedy Gamer. He could have done it.
You know what? Yes, it could be John the Greedy Gamer, right? Like maybe John Storm, right? Maybe he hit this with hurricane force,
It's like, those guys haven't bought me in years.
Yes.
Time for revenge.
Yes. So what I think actually happened is that I think that maybe because it made it here. It made it here. It's not necessarily in one piece, but it made it here. I believe in my male person, whether they're male, female, whatever. I'll be politically correct. I believe in my male person, whoever he, she, they may be. And I want to believe rain, sleet, snow, or attack from ninjas, they're going to get this thing to where it needs to go. And so I'd like to believe that, they were, dutifully doing their thing, mail running, and they got, attacked by a ninja. A ninja just jumped out of the shadows and they weren't expecting, right? And maybe chucked a few shurikens, right? And they had to deflect. They had nothing else but a Game Informer mag, and they had to deflect. So there's a couple tears in there. And then the ninja got so close because they're quick, right? I mean, the mailman can put up a decent run, but they're not fighters, right? So at least not the male people that I know. So, just comes up with maybe the samurai sword, right? Goes to do the stab. Oh, and I'd like to believe that although the sword pierced the Game Informer magazine, right, that it caused enough, it absorbed enough of the impact to where the mailman was able to get away with a less severe wound. And so, with all the remaining energy and reserve that they had, right, maybe even with a compress on the shoulder to kind of hold off the bleeding and everything, they made it dutifully to my mailbox. They put the Game Informer in, right? Closed the box, and then they went off to wherever it is that mail people go after they've been attacked by a ninja and narrowly escape with their life.
So you are.
Whoever my mail person is, I want to thank you from the bottom of my heart, sincerely, for fighting off that ninja. You are not just a male person. You are a true American hero.
I think you're on something. That shit happens to me all the time.
I'll have what he's having.
So you get magazines in this shape?
Well, if I comes in, I'll let you know how it goes.
Oh man, I'm telling you. So here's the deal, right? Here's the deal, right? So the Walmart ad, mint condition. The Walmart ad was mint condition. This guy, not so much. So
like I said, if GameStop don't want to hook you up, I'll exchange you.
I think GameStop will hook me up. What's unfortunate is this episode has some really cool stuff in there. Like they have a one pager about Cuphead, which is a nice exclusive that's coming out for the Xbox One a day after my birthday. Actually, what's that?
Cuphead. I don't know. I find it interesting.
Yeah,
I'll see E3. Well, I see. I know what it is. I've seen it.
Let's see if for the folks that maybe haven't heard of it. So this is Cuphead, my friends. So it's kind of got that oldie-timey, graphics thing going for it. It's supposed
Steamboat
to be Steamboat Willie. It's supposed to be a Nintendo hard shooter. So I'm really looking forward to that. So we'll see how far I get into it and whether or not they have hopefully they at least have checkpoints where like you can save now and then. I don't mind it being
if
Nintendo
it's Nintendo hard. There's no checkpoints.
Yeah. We shall see, my friend. We shall see. But yeah, so she's back, right? Samus Returns. And then it's got the nice little hole there through the through the magazine there.
One of our fans says, is there any Ace Combat 7? Jeremy totally not asking this question. Thank you, random fan who asked that.
Well, not Jeremy.
I think there is an article in there about that. I think.
Let me.
Like I said, I'll have it here so I can check.
I kind of browsed through it. I don't remember if I saw it online or.
Check through. Let me see.
I know what you guys are thinking. Jeremy, shut the hell up about Ace Combat. We'll probably get to the quarter of next year. So.
XCOM's in here. Cuphead, Uncharted: The Lost Legacy, Mario and Rabbids Kingdom Battle is in here. So I don't see anything about. Let me see here. They got a game index. This is great. So let me see.
ACE, no.
Nope. No Ace Combat on there, my friend.
You Game Informer. No, sorry.
No Ace Combat this time around.
Another game I'm excited for, and I'm not a huge Call of Duty fan, but the World War II game, because I like World War II.
Yeah?
So excited for that.
So what has you excited about it? Just that it's World War II?
Yeah,
or is
just
there anything
much,
else that's got you
since I was a kid, I always like history, well, mainly like World War II history, the weapons. You guys gonna suck probably, but I'm gonna have it.
Yeah.
So all you guys that hate Call of Duty and the companies there, since you're hating on me because I'm buying it.
Well, I think, this is something that I have an issue with in general, right? Like, it's okay to not enjoy something. It's okay to not like something or for it to not be your thing. Don't hate on other people if it's not their thing, right? Come on. Especially for grown-ups, right? Like, let's just be
Last semester sucks. Sorry.
Don't make me ban you, Jeremy. I will ban you.
Not bad Metroid, but it's still up there.
So I gave Lister's mate the moderator abilities there in the channel. He can kick you so quick.
I had to. You finished Blaster Masters, by the way, the other one for Switch?
No, I haven't. So here's what happened, right? So folks that have been watching, every now and then I do these live streams, right? So I live streamed the first couple of levels of me playing Blaster Master Zero for the Switch. And then that streamed, that went fine. We posted it. I went to play the next set of levels, 3 and 4, and hour and a half of gameplay later, I find out it didn't record any of my audio. Like it only recorded like the game sound effects. So you've got my camera stream with me like talking, but there's no sound there, which I don't know, maybe people would prefer that more. But then I'd wanted to do an entire playthrough start to finish. So now I'm kind of like, do I go back and replay those parts of the level? Even though it's not going to be like my original take on it. or whatnot. And so not being able to figure out what to do there, I kind of just stopped playing it altogether. So I want to play it. I want to finish it, but I feel like if I finish it and don't finish the video run, like I'm letting people down. But folks, let me know in the chat down in the doodly doo. Like, do you care if I skip a couple of levels, or maybe just turn my second piece into more of a review, and then from that point forward, I pick up with the playthrough? Or
I think you should do a live stream, and me and you, if Tyler wants to get out, we'll do commentary as you play.
Yeah.
Talk shit about you. No, not about the game you're playing. The game, not talk about you. I talk shit about you on the phone. Sorry.
Yeah.
Not playing. I was like, this guy.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's a great game. In fact, some of the DLC I've really wanted to show off. So that might be actually what I do. Like, I might replay through that section, but with a different character. Shantae, the playable character for Blaster Master Zero, is a hoot. She's got the same abilities that she has from her other games, but in the Blaster Master engine, which is kind of neat. Shovel Knight, same thing for Shovel Knight. Him as a playable character in Blaster Master is absolutely a blast. So, no pun intended. So yeah, I've been still playing that. I've been playing what else have I been playing on the Switch? Played Mighty Gunvolt Burst. That was a really good game. I feel like, what's that?
What's that? I never heard of that one.
It's a roguelike, so it's basically, you know what? This is my personal take on it. You know what everyone kind of hoped and expected Mighty Number 9 would be?
Yeah.
I feel like that's what Mighty Gunvolt Burst actually was. So it's still pixel art based. It's platformer based. There is some story in it, but it's not really, thick into the story. It's more into the gameplay and the action. My only real complaint about Mighty Gunvolt Burst is it's not automatic that, like, you beat the boss, you get their power. You collect different things throughout the level, different power-ups or different points that allow you to purchase upgrades to different power-ups and everything. And so you could beat the game. You might have to beat a level like 4 or 5 times to get everything out of that level to really upgrade your character. Yeah, what sucks about it is that the game is a great game, but I feel like the mechanics that open up, like the power-ups and the abilities that open up, really don't open up wide until you've played the game so many times that you're kind of sick of it. So by the time you're really a force to be reckoned with and having a lot of fun with some of the more advanced mechanics, yeah, you're kind of like, I've already seen all the levels. So I kind of wish that they hadn't kind of like blown it all in that way. I wish that they'd maybe, been a little bit more forthcoming, I guess. Wrong word. I can't think of the right words, but I wish they'd been a little bit more liberal in how they gave out some of the power-ups and the upgrades and things like that, so that you could upgrade earlier, get used to stuff, enjoy it, and actually do that. Because if you're like me, I'm kind of a completionist. Like I want to beat the game. I want to finish the game. And then once I have, I kind of get, disincentivized to really go back and play through to do just to, like, oh, now I have a gun that can shoot sideways. Like, okay, like that's not enough for me to play through an entire game again for like an hour and a half. Instead, I'll go on to another game and have a totally new experience. So, but for $9, I have to say, it was pretty good. And I guess a year from now, I'm going to appreciate Mighty Gunvolt Burst a lot more, because I'll be able to jump back into it, load up my save, play through a bunch of those levels, having mostly forgotten where the hidden items are and all that other stuff. And I'll be able to play through it with the new mechanics, and it will actually be easier for me, when I pick it up a year from now than it was for me when I first picked it up. So I guess near-term replay value, if there is such a thing, maybe not so high. Long-term replay value, incredibly high. Effectively, every time you come back to it, you could get a whole new set of power-ups, reconfigure your character in a whole different way, and play the game in a whole different, whole different degree of difficulty, whole different set of mechanics and everything.
Sounds good.
So did you say you haven't beaten Blaster Master, or you have?
I haven't beaten Blaster Master 0 for this Switch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I haven't beaten it yet. But that's more of just me being self-conscious, and part of me still wants to believe that I'm going to actually fire up the streaming setup, not have my audio screwed up, and actually stream it through. So which maybe I'll do. Maybe I'll play episodes 3 and 4 as Shantae, and maybe I'll play the remaining as Shovel Knight. Now you do have to start the whole game over. So whichever character I pick, I'll have to do it on a separate save and all that other stuff.
Let me know when you do it. I'll go on the show with you and give commentary.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I'm just curious because I've been playing it as well, and I got to the end boss.
Yeah.
I have no idea how to do it, how to beat it. Nothing. Yeah, I'm just like, I just die instantly. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing. But
you just hit them a lot until they die.
oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, what you got to do is you got to push this one button to stop, and then aim, and then the other. No, I'm just kidding. So I don't know. I haven't gotten there yet. I'm curious as to whether or not it's going to be the original boss from the original game, or if they have a different boss. Have you ever beaten the original game, Tyler?
No, I haven't.
Have you gotten to the end boss in the original game?
No.
Ah, okay. Because I was going to ask you if it was the same boss.
But it's
So spoilers allowed.
It's a dude with a whip. I don't know.
Oh, it's the same boss. Yeah, it's the same boss.
With the whip, eh? I'm gonna play it now.
Because it's a dude with a whip, you're gonna play it.
Don't judge me.
I wasn't judging. I was just seeking clarification.
We all were in college
Dudes with
once.
whips are awesome.
So what place am I to judge, right? Folks can still go through the Rolodex and see me dressed as a woman. So
Well, Sam Shaw dressed as a handsome man. Just saying.
I think I have an easier time passing for a woman than a handsome man.
No comment. I think we should wrap this up.
I think that we should, because we're going off in wild tangents, which usually means the tiredness is taking over, folks. So all good things must come to an end. So what do you think happened to this issue of Game Informer? Right? Do you think my ninja story is spot on, or do you have a story? If you guys can come up with a story that tops my story, maybe I'll send you a free game.
Guys, make a bunch of troll accounts so I get the free game.
Come up with your story. Drop your comments in the doodly doo. Many may enter, but only one will win. So,
and don't forget, 500 followers on Twitter. DashV eats a jar of jalapenos.
Yeah, we've been hovering around the same number of followers for a while, which I'm interpreting as meaning nobody wants to see me eat jalapenos while I host the show. So I'm actually feeling pretty good about myself.
And if we reach 500 subscribers, you gotta wait till next year when I grow the peppers. All you want.
I think just nobody likes us.
And that could be too. Maybe
I don't like
it
them
has
either.
nothing to do with.
The feeling is neutral.
Folks, love us, hate us, as long as you rate us. And don't forget, you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Facebook. You can find us on Twitter. You can also find us on Roku. Retro Reload, all one word. When you search the channel store, it comes right up. You can install the channel for free, and we post most of our episodes. You can see our interviews with Tom Kalinske, former CEO of Sega, Al Nilsson, former senior marketing director of Sega, Jonathan Landis, one of the product managers for Battlefield 1. You can also see Kevin M. McConnelly, one of the voice actors from Ace Combat.
Funimation.
Who else were you going to say?
Brian Shea, Mark Farley.
Yeah.
I think it was on the show.
So
you'll see it when you go there.
Lots of folks, my friends, have been on this show. We've been very, very fortunate and blessed to have them on the show. So if you got somebody that you think should be on the show, feel free to actually reach out to them and ask them, hey, how come I haven't seen you on Retro Reload podcast? So and
leave us a message who it is too.
Yeah, have them chat us up. We'd be more than happy. So until next time, take it easy. Feel free to give your comments after the show if you've caught us after we're live about what we talked about. Do you think I'm full of it for the Xbox One, or do you think I'm spot on? So
is Tyler right about Metroid? Does it 8 out of 10?
I think we're all full of it personally, but that's just me.
And remember, right? What do you think happened to the Game Informer? So if you beat my story about the Mailman Ninja, and just so that people know that it's not rigged, for the stories, if we do get any stories in, we'll discuss the stories as long as they're appropriate. Keep them keep them non-X rated, please, guys. But as long as there's stories that we can share on the show, we'll share them on the show, and then whoever's on the show with us next week, we'll vote on whether or not we think they top the mailman defending themselves vigilantly from a ninja with My Game Informer. If it beats that story, I'll send you a game.
Can the hosts make troll accounts and participate?
No, hosts cannot participate with or without troll accounts.
All right. Good night.
All right. We'll see you next week, folks.
Bye.